Hey everybody, welcome to the book drop. We have decided to take the book drop in a more TikTok-centric direction. So I'm going to be your new host. My name is Matt Swanett. I work at the Marlborough Public Library, located on 35 West Main Street. Open from...
April Fools! Hello, welcome to the book drop. I'm Matthew Kocienda. I work at the Marlborough Public Library on 35 West Main Street. Open 9 to 8 Monday through Thursday and 9 to 5 Friday through Saturday. And this month, we'll be closing at noon on the 18th for Good Friday and closed fully on the 21st on Monday for Patriots Day. We're happy to announce that each patron will now have $1 a day of free printing, whether from the computer, including with a guest pass, or from wireless printing. We've also lowered the price of color printing to 25 cents. Last month, we had some wonderful programs. I had a great interview with an artist, which I will show later. And we also had the first meeting of the High Strangeness Book Club. This month, we, of course, have a wonderful assortment of programs for you. On Thursday the 10th at 5:30, we have Bullet Journaling Workshop, where teens can learn how to organize their life better and make bullet journals, which every teen will be able to take home with them. Monday the 14th at 4, we have the Tween Advisory Board. This is for kids from 6th to 8th grade to help decide what goes on in the YA section of the library. Tuesday the 15th at 7, we have Tribal Nations, Climate Change, Adaption, Planning, and Resilience. This is a virtual event presented by Dr. Casey Thornborough, a citizen of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe and a geographer with a background in climate science. He will be talking about climate change, its impacts on indigenous populations, along with indigenous adaptation to the climate change and how we can learn from what they're doing. On Wednesday the 16th at 10, we have Chair Yoga. I mentioned this program last month, but a patron came in asking if there were any more sessions, so I felt it important to mention that this is a repeating event on the third Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. Speaking of repeating events that I didn't mention were repeating, Saturday the 19th, we have a jigsaw puzzle swap. Bring your gently used puzzles and swap them out for something new. Bring as many puzzles as you like and take home as many or even more as you brought. After 3 p.m., any puzzles will be left free to take. Thursday the 24th at 5, we have Teen Movie Night, where we will be showing Into the Spider-Verse. Snacks will be provided, and registration is not required, but it would help to know how many snacks to purchase. The featured book for this month in the Adult Book Club is The Phoenix Crown by Kate Quinn and Janny Chang. This is a historical fiction novel set in San Francisco in 1906 and follows two women, Gemma and Soling, as their lives intersect and then are upturned by a historic and devastating earthquake. The meetings for this month will take place on Tuesday the 8th at 6 and Thursday the 10th at 11. So now I'm going to talk about the High Strangeness Club. First thing I want to say is thank you so much for everyone that joined our first High Strangeness Book Club meeting. Their turnout was higher than Matt and I were expecting, and we couldn't be happier about it. I also want to thank everyone on staff who helped us put this together. I feel like I'm accepting an award. On Wednesday the 23rd at 6:30, the High Strangeness will be discussing Perfume, the story of a murderer, which, as you can guess, is the story of a murderer. He has an extraordinary sense of smell and wants to make the perfect perfume, and he's also evil. This month, on Wednesday the 23rd at 4, the Book Bunch will be discussing Moon, Earth's Best Friend by Stacey McInulty with illustrations by Stevie Lewis. The Dewey Decimators will read The Mostly True Story of Cleopatra's Needle by Dan Gutman, and they will be meeting on Thursday the 24th at 5:30 for their discussion. April is National Poetry Month. Poetry is a beautiful art form, and we are very excited to share our love for it at the Marlborough Public Library. The library will be having what we're calling a poetry, where patrons can come and write their own poems. This will be set up on the second floor near the circulation desk. Patrons will be able to write a poem on the paper leaf, leave it in the basket for approval, and then have it featured as a part of the poetry. We will also have instructions for writing acrostic poems, haikus, and simple couplets. Poetry is an art form that plays with all of the facets of language, from metaphor and simile to puns and onomatopoeias. Poetry also functions as a visual art form in addition to a textural one. Poets like E. Cummings played with form and space on the page, removing the words from their typical constraints to reinforce themes of freedom, fragmentation, and individuality. Poems can be very rigid in structure, from sonnet form, which has a set length, rhyme scheme, and even syllable stress pattern, to free verse, which anything goes. A lot of poetry ends up having a flowing musical quality because of these varying tools at the poet's disposal. Poetry has had a long history and is actually thought to possibly predate literacy itself. It seems to have evolved from human beings' affinity for oral storytelling, which includes epic tales and folk tales. The oldest surviving epic poem is the Epic of Gilgamesh, which dates from the 3rd millennium BCE. It originated in Sumer, Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq, and it follows the journey of Gilgamesh, a powerful but arrogant king who seeks immortality. Other ancient epics include the Iliad and Odyssey from Greece, the Ramayana and Mahabharata from India, and the Aeneid from Rome. I think that poetry as a medium is something that comes with a lot of preconceived notions and feels like it has a sort of barrier for entry, whether in writing or in reading, but that really is not the truth. So this month, I implore you to come to the library and explore the beautiful world of poetry and discover the hidden poet you've had inside you all along. So now, we're going to be reading a handful of poems selected by your local librarians. Take a look.
Good Bones by Maggie Smith. Life is short, though I keep this for my children. Life is short, and I've shortened mine in 1,000 delicious, ill-advised ways. 1,000 deliciously ill-advised ways. I'll keep for my children. The world is at least 50% terrible, and that's a conservative estimate, though I keep this for my children. For every bird there is a stone thrown at a bird. For every loved child, a child broken, bagged, sunk in a lake. Life is short, and the world is at least half terrible, and for every kind stranger, there is one who would break you, though I keep this for my children. I am trying to sell them the world. Any decent realtor, walking you through a real shithole, chirps on about good bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You could make this place beautiful. Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history, with your bitter twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells, pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still, I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines, digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Headache by Shel Silverstein. Having a tree growing out of me is often a worrisome thing. I'm twisty and thorny and branchy and bare, but wait till you see me in spring. Failing and Flying by Jack Gilbert. Everyone forgets that Icarus also flew. It's the same when love comes to an end, or the marriage fails and people say they knew it was a mistake, that everybody said it would never work, that she was old enough to know better, but anything worth doing is worth doing badly, like being there by that summer ocean on the other side of the island while love was fading out of her, the stars burning so extravagantly those nights that anyone could tell you that they would never last. Every morning she was asleep in my bed, like a visitation, the gentleness in her like antelope standing in the dawn mist. Each afternoon I watched her coming back through the hot, stony field after swimming, the sea light behind her and the huge sky on the other side of that. Listened to her while we ate lunch. How can they say the marriage failed? Like the people who come back from Provence, when it was Provence, and said it was petty but the food was greasy. I believe Icarus was not failing as he fell, but just coming to the end of his triumph. Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. The Resemblance Between Your Life and a Dog by Robert Bly. I never intended to have this life, believe me. It just happened. You know how dogs turn up at a farm and they wag but can't explain? It's good if you can accept your life. You'll notice your face has become deranged trying to adjust to it. Your face thought your life would look like your bedroom mirror when you were 10. That was a clear river touched by mountain wind. Even your parents can't believe how much you've changed. Sparrows in winter, if you've ever held one, all feathers, burst out of your hand with a fiery glee. You see them later in hedges. Teachers promise you, but you can't quite get back to the winter sparrow. Your life is a dog. He's been hungry for miles. Doesn't particularly like you, but gives up and comes in.
Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwocky, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the maxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as an uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, Callooh, Calais, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and mome raths outgrave. Sincerely the Sky by David Hernandez. Yes, I see you down there, looking up into my vastness. What are you hoping to find on my vacant face, there between the crisscross of telephone wires? You should know I am only bright blue now because of physics. Molecules break and scatter, my light from the sun more than any other color. You know my variations, azure at noon, navy by midnight. How often I find you then on your patio, pajamaed and distressed, head thrown back so your eyes can pick apart not the darker version of myself, but the carousel of stars. To you, I am merely a background. You barely hear my voice. Remember, I am most vibrant when air breaks my light. Do something with your brokenness. I Will Wait Out by E. E. Cummings. I will wait out till my thighs are steeped in burning flowers. I will take the sun in my mouth and leap into the ripe air, alive, with closed eyes, to dash against darkness in the sleeping curves of my body. Shall enter fingers of smooth mastery with chasteness of sea-girls. Will I complete the mystery of my flesh? I will rise after 1,000 years, lipping flowers, and set my teeth to the silver of the moon. Short film starring my beloved's living body by Kay Ivor. Open with the 2-lane highway, the ice truck in the ice, your elbow resting on the driver's side window. Zoom in on the toned forearm. The goldenrod rushing by. Missy, our audience, can see you now. Show them the gas station delivery where a drunk lady screams about your good looks because there's no original way to say a man is beautiful, and the lady did scream. Our audience will believe us, and they won't. They'll say people this lovely are only in films. No one with lips this pillowy needs to deliver ice. And here you are, lifting bags and saving up for a weekend in Memphis at the Motel 6. There's no time for dialogue about class or gender. No room to signal that your time with Goldenrod is limited. Your time awake is limited. Look how awake you are, how the facial bones move with the perfect alignment under the dermis. Cut to the motel. leaving its light on for your red Bronco. Now the motel's dark interior. Now the bed nearest the window where you and a just out of high school date can finally make contact after years of parentally imposed silence. I'm sorry. This film can't access your interior. Your date, the only one directing her memory. Your date is me. My memory is the shower scene already zoomed in on your face. Open your eyes again. Look directly at me. Hold the camera's gaze through the falling water as if this were our last frame. Missy, this is our last frame. Body is the only good word for body. I'm afraid of home's hunger for yours, but off camera, the interstate is waiting, and my lines are let's go.
April is Jazz Appreciation Month. Jazz is an art form that is so truly American, combining African rhythms with the harmonic structures and theory of blues and classical, as well as later having some influence from Cuban and Brazilian music. It really is such an amazing blending of cultures that we see in this country. It's such an expressive art form that I think everyone should give a shot, especially this month. You can come to the library and look for things dealing with it as well. At the Marlborough Library, we don't have music CDs. We have some concert DVDs. But what we do have are a lot of books dealing with the history of jazz and the biography of different jazz musicians. Now, if the idea of CDs did excite you, and you're looking for music that's more meditative and relaxing, there are artists like Bill Evans and Ella Fitzgerald. And if you're looking for jazz that's a bit more fire, you can hit artists like Mahavishnu Orchestra and Charles Mingus. Now, if you like stuff that's really crazy like I do, I suggest Peter Brotzman, Cecil Taylor, Anthony Braxton, Barbato Magus, and Matana Roberts. And if you're looking for all of that and a bag of chips, I recommend one of the best to ever do it, Mr. John Coltrane. Meditations is an underrated banger of an album in my opinion, but I really want to center one of his records from 1964, A Love Supreme. It's a transcendental record all around, but I particularly want to highlight the last track, Psalm. So John Coltrane had a big spirituality element to a lot of his music, especially his later music. And this one and this whole album is no exception. Now for Psalm, he did something very interesting that I haven't heard of another jazz musician doing, where he wrote a poem for God and for his love of spirituality. And he put it on his music stand, and he actually just played the poem through his saxophone for the last track, to really just show, again, his beautiful love and joy, the fact that he found religion in his life. And that's just a specific reason I wanted to bring it in for April as well, because it's National Poetry Month. And we talked about poems having such a musical aspect to them, and there it is, a beautiful melding by an absolute genius. So I really hope you take this month to listen to some fantastic music and learn some fantastic history. As I mentioned at the top of the episode, I had a lovely interview with Laurel Douglas, this month's artist for our cafe. It was fantastic talking to her and learning more about her art and her process. So here's a little snippet of the interview. We have the full extended interview in another video, and the link will be in the description down below. Thank you.
Okay, so this one is my personal favorite.
Yep.
It's called Come Home, and it focuses on this tiny ant-sized human figure on top of a rock formation within kind of this haunting cave. Mm-hmm. I've had several people come up to me and be like, this really speaks to me.
Oh, for sure.
Kind of trying to find your place in the world.
Mm-hmm. I was a little shocked when you said cave. I'd seen this as fire before.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh, the buildings are burning. I was like standing within that.
Yeah.
Now we have our viewer question section. And just like Saturday night, we are live. So I will now be taking our first caller. Beep.
Hey, I have a lot of books that I'm looking to donate. Does the library take donations?
Yes, we do take donations, but we only accept them on certain days. Our donation days are the first Wednesday from 12 to 2 and third Saturday from 10 to 2 of every month. The donations are overseen by the volunteers at Friends of the Library, and we try to make their lives as easy as possible. 4 boxes and bags is the maximum, and we accept everything apart from VHS tapes, encyclopedias, and textbooks older than 5 years. Again, the donations are the first Wednesday and third Saturday of the month. So this month specifically, it'll be Wednesday the 2nd and Saturday the 19th. Thank you so much for your question. Next caller. Beep.
Can you walk me through what's free versus what's paid at the library? Like, do I need to pay to get a library card?
Great question. First off, no, you do not need to pay for a library card. It is completely free, and we encourage you to get one. In fact, I'm happy to say that most things in the library are free. You could scan material, access any of the computers, attend any programs, and check out any material without paying a thing. We are also fine-free for our library material, meaning as long as we get it back, you won't be fined for anything overdue. One exception to this being fines incurred on museum passes that are returned late, as well as if you damage material beyond our ability to circulate it, then there will be a fine. Printing and copying also costs money. As mentioned earlier, it's 25 cents per color page and 20 cents per black and white. Every patron gets $1 worth of free printing every day, though. I hope this clears up some of the confusion. And now we would like to end the show with a lovely announcement from the library. Our lovely librarian Rachel is getting married, so congrats to her and her soon-to-be husband. They are a lovely couple. Rachel rocks. Oh, what is that? You don't know our librarian Rachel? Sorry, that last part wasn't for you. I apologize. We'll hang up now. Have a nice day. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed those April showers, and we will see you at the library.